We're all waiting for the ending to From, the grand payoff that makes all the suffering and mystery worth it. We need to believe there's a way out, but one character decision, one single action back in season 1 may have already made a satisfying ending impossible. In this video, we'll break down the one mistake that didn't just invite the monsters in, it set the characters on a path they can never come back from, and why it proves that for the people in this town, the game was rigged from the very beginning. So what was that one single action? What was the mistake that broke the game? It all comes down to Tabitha Matthews and a shovel. Her decision to start digging that hole in the basement, it was a declaration of war against the town foundational lie, and the town has been making her family pay for it ever since. To understand the scale of this event, you have to remember the old rules. For a long time, the rules of Fromville, while terrifying, were simple. You had a talisman, you locked your doors, and you did not under any circumstance let them in. It was a brutal physical game of survival. And for 96 days, this system was effective, but for a while, it was a predictable one. The enemy was outside, and the rules were clear: keep the outside out. But Tabitha, haunted by the grief of losing her son Thomas, and driven by a need for answers, could not accept that. She needed to understand the impossible electricity, the one piece of the puzzle that didn't fit the supernatural horror. It seems like a logical step, an investigation into a physical anomaly. But she was not just digging for wires, she was knocking on a door that was meant to stay shut. And the town, the entity, whatever it is, had noticed it. It sent a warning. Remember that radio message Jim received at the end of season 1? A voice came through the static with one clear sentence. At the time, it was just another spooky, unexplained event, but that one warning connects directly to the single most brutal moment in season 3. Right before the man in yellow kills Jim in front of his own daughter Julie, what are his final words?
I did try to warn you.
And Jim's death was not random. It was the bill coming due for a mistake made 2 seasons earlier. Because that hole didn't just lead to dirt and rock. It was a domino effect. It's the moment Tabitha sees the ghostly children, their faces. It's how she finds the luggage with the same sticker that was on Victor's dad's computer. It's the path that leads her to go to that old car with Victor, the one containing the drawings, to go to the tower. It was a cause and effect. Tabitha was not just digging a hole in her basement. She was digging into the town's foundational trauma. She was getting close to the tunnels where the monsters live, the place where the children were sacrificed, and in doing so, she single-handedly escalated the conflict. She changed the game from a physical fight for survival to a war of information. A war where every discovery invites a bigger, more devastating punishment. This is the first and most brutal rule of the new game Tabitha started. The town doesn't just punish you for being unlucky, it punishes you for getting too close to the answers. But this direct punishment for seeking knowledge is the only way the town destroys residents. The other method is far more evil. It doesn't punish you for finding answers, it punishes you for finding hope. To understand this, we have to talk about Sarah Myers. The town genius is that it didn't attack Sarah's fear. It attacked her hope. Before the voices started, Sarah was the most compassionate person in town. She cared for her brother Nathan. She worked at the diner. She wanted to believe things could get better. She was a likable girl next door. The town identified the one good person who would do anything to save her family, and it twisted that love into a weapon. The voices that spoke to Sarah didn't push her with death. They offered her a deal. They whispered a promise. The one thing everyone in the town craves more than anything. A way home, they told her. And everyone gets to leave. This was an attack on her fear. It was an attack on her compassion. It was a calculated move to break her from the inside out. And the suffering was immense. Sarah becomes the town's unwitting villain. She kills Jay's friend, Toby. She leaves the clinic doors open, allowing the monsters in. She even tries to hurt a child, a young Ethan. She betrays the town's most fundamental trust, all because she believed it would free them. But the town's final twist was the cruelest, when her brother Nathan tries to stop her. In the struggle, the person she was trying to save, the entire reason she listened to the voices in the first place, dies by her own hand. The promise was a lie. Her hope was not a key, it was the bait in a trap. And that is the town's most insidious weapon. It doesn't just feed on fear. It weaponizes hope. It finds the most compassionate person, the one who wants to save everyone, and it twists the goodness into a tool for its own destruction. Why break down a door when you can convince someone to open it for you? We saw it back in season 1 with the monster convincing Kevin. So the town's first weapon is hope. But what happens when it comes for a man who has none? How do you break a man like Boy Stevens, a man who runs on rules and responsibility? You don't attack his hope, you attack his purpose. Boyd's entire identity is built on the trauma of having to protect his son against his own wife, Abby, after she goes deep into psychosis. His leadership is not just a job, it's an act of pain. His impossible mission to protect the town is his only way of dealing for his failure to protect his family. He doesn't believe in a way out, he believes in holding the line, and the town understands this perfectly, so it doesn't offer him a way home. It gives him what looks like a victory. Remember his win at the end of season 2, using his own infected blood to kill the monster Smiley. For the first time the characters celebrated. It felt like a breakthrough, a turning point. They had finally fought back and won, but it was just another more cruel setup. Season 3 reveals the horrifying truth that victory was not a victory, it was an infection. The Smiley was not destroyed, it was transferred, reborn inside Fatima. Pregnancy, a source of impossible joy, becomes impossible. She craves rotten food and blood. Her stomach literally caves in. It all ends not with the birth of a child, but with the violent rebirth of the very monster Boyd thought he killed. This is the town's strategy against Boyd. It doesn't break him, it destroys his soul with the consequences of his own good intentions. And we see this reach its absolute breaking point in season 3 when he hurts Elgin. Desperate to save Fatima, to fix his latest mistake, he hurt a man's hand with a hammer, crossing the moral event horizon. He becomes the very thing he's fighting against. And that reveals the third and perhaps most devastating rule of the game. The town doesn't just punish curiosity, and it doesn't just weaponize hope, it weaponizes responsibility. It engineers impossible choices that force good men to become monsters. We have seen how the town targets individuals, twisting their curiosity, their hope, and their leadership against them. What if the deadliest mistake is not a single choice at all, but a collective failure? A habit so simple, so obvious that the entire fan community says the following: "For the love of God, talk to each other." This is not just a lighthearted complaint from fans like us. It is the flaw that allows the entire nightmare to function. It is the town's primary method of control. Think about the evidence Boyd hides Sarah's survival and her role in multiple events from Kenny, fracturing their relationship for an entire season and leaving Kenny in the dark about the voices. And Victor. Victor holds decades of crucial, life-saving knowledge about the tunnels, the faraway trees, but he keeps it locked away behind childhood trauma, only sharing fragments. The town doesn't even hold a community meeting until season 3. This is not just a frustrating TV to stretch out the mystery, it's the town core strategy. The information emptiness is how the town operates. It's how it isolates Sarah with the voices, promising a private escape. It's how it manipulates Elgin with personal visions from the kimono lady. By keeping everyone trapped in their own personal horror story, the town prevents them from ever realizing they're all fighting the same war against the same intelligence. And while the group's deadliest mistake is believing they're on a solo mission, no one embodied that flawed individual quest for answers more tragically than Jim Matthews. Jim was the last one of pure logic in a world of impossible horror. An engineer by trade, a pragmatist by nature. For him, the town was not a curse, it was an experiment. His entire journey was a war against this. He built a radio tower to contact the outside world, the logical architect of his prison. He obsessed over the radio, and in season 3, after all that struggle, he finally got his breakthrough. Working with Jade and Tabitha, they decoded the bottle tree numbers, realizing they were musical notes from a lullaby. Then the reincarnation. For a single fleeting moment, Jim had his answer. The puzzle pieces click into place. And in that exact moment, the man in yellow appeared. His words were not a threat, they were a final invoice. Then he kills Jim in front of Julie. This is the town's most explicit and terrifying rule yet. Jim's death proves that the ultimate punishment is reserved not for those who break the rules, but for those who finally understand them. He was killed not for a mistake, but for being right. The town doesn't just resist being understood, it actively eliminates those who get too close. It's not a puzzle to be solved, so we have all the pieces. A town that punishes questions, weaponizes hope, breaks responsibility, wins on secrets, and delivers a death sentence for answers. So what is a single mistake that makes a happy ending of Fromville truly impossible? So it's not Tabitha's shovel, it's not Sarah's knife, it's not even Boyd's hammer. The single mistake that connects every character, every tragedy, and every failed attempt is the belief that this is a game they can win. Like Donna said,
because the game here rigged.
The town is not a prison you can escape, it's a town designed to break you. And its true genius is that it doesn't punish their flaws, it weaponizes their virtues. In a place like this, the only way to win might be to refuse to play at all. to simply put down the shovel and the hammer and let the monster stare through the window, confused by a tale that has finally learned that the only unbeatable move is to give up. But we know that this is not gonna happen.